Hello and welcome to this edition of the writing seminar. Yeah, that's the official. I'm going to start making this, just entitling this the writer's seminar, I guess. But thank you all for coming. I greatly appreciate you taking time. Please allow me to welcome my guests.
He's going right for the crew!
It is the Monster Mash.
And it was a graveyard smash.
The Monster Mash.
He did the mash. He did the monster mash. Alrighty. And welcome our second guest.
行くわよ来世の試練よ
Monsters! I wonder how they're made. Good afternoon, everyone.
Probably with weirder birds and the bees than humans.
Oh, you think that's weird? See how you make the monster grow.
What, like lots and lots of water, like a gremlin?
I was
Or are you
thinking you throw
talking
your
about
magic
the big
staff at the
power
planet
here?
from the moon. There had to be a Power Rangers reference in this somewhere.
Of course there did.
Alrighty. Well, this is gonna be a fun one because I got a bunch of different stuff planned out for this one, and we can kind of move a few things around if needed. So.
Oh my goodness. Oh.
It's taken a little bit to load. But yeah. So anyway, we do have a few things that we can discuss in terms of monsters. For instance, it kind of seems like, based on what I've observed, monsters very much fall into a few categories. You have the intelligent monsters like Dracula, Freddy, etc. You have the kind of tragic monsters like Frankenstein, the Kimiho, Medusa.
I would also put Dracula under tragic too.
Depending
on the version.
Yeah, it depends on the take. But he's constantly, unless it's the Crapula, he's always characterized as intelligent. That one's just a weird outlier.
Yeah.
Come on! Why do you bow to my will?
A real monster is getting Prezi to work.
I was thinking it's a bitch to get Prezi to work, but that works too.
The real monsters were the friends we met along the way. Wait, that could be misconstrued. Very
Are you talking like literal monsters or metaphorical monsters you get in a bed?
Well, certainly not the kind of monsters that you get framed.
Okay, I've got it.
What? Oh, you've got it? Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Cool. You want to present it?
I can't make it.
Oh, you're
there
in
we go.
present mode. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a little bit of a surprise. We had somebody fly in.
Hello, Crow.
Hello.
Been a while.
A surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one.
Ah,
Very pleasant surprise.
hello,
Yep.
hello. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, one and all.
Lovely to see you all. But yes, we will at some point talk about the Universal movie monsters as we get to each topic. There's also Neph, if you could go to the next slide.
Okay, certainly.
So these are kind of like, this is the introduction. This is what we're going to cover. Like there's the intelligent, which I would put as Dracula, tragic, which is kind of the werewolf, bestial, the chimera, human, Hannibal Lecter, automaton, Terminator, and cute being the Channing Tatum Yeti from Smallfoot.
And almost every single Pokemon.
Yeah, pretty much every single Pokemon.
Yeah, and worth pointing out that some of these can cross over. I mean, Magnemite falls in cute and automaton.
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah. So that's kind of like, this is kind of an overview. Kind of like intelligent kind of can also, a lot of these can kind of blend together, but I thought it would be good to have at least a few like categorizations for each of the monsters, just so that we can keep things organized. So are we having a like Twilight style wolf versus crow thing with Neph as Bella in this analogy?
Simp off!
It certainly feels like it.
No, Wolf doesn't have a chance. What are you talking about?
Alrighty. Kind of any like
The
initial.
married man.
Yeah, you're. Well, you got to play the field, I guess. But anyway, so any like initial thoughts about like these categories? I neglected to put in like a cosmic monster, since that's a whole other topic in and of itself.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
pitching to have a Lovecraft stream specifically.
Yes, I don't know much about Lovecraft, but I guess we could.
I can look a
respond.
lot up.
We can respond to overly sarcastic productions one, and we can like actually talk about it.
Oh, that fucking hatchet job. That's a real monster.
I think she did several.
She did just one Lovecraft one.
In terms of Lovecraft, just about all of these can fit into Lovecraft. Lovecraft is kind of its own separate genre.
In fact,
Yeah.
I'm looking at all of these
Except for
traits.
cute.
Except for
cute.
Various times in the series, Guilmon from Digimon Tamers fits all 6.
Well, yeah, his megaform is human. He's kind of an automaton. And
Yeah, because of the digital life form. Cute
Yeah.
should be self-explanatory. And if you don't believe me, blow my blood.
Yeah. So
And
anyway,
tragic with the Digidramon incident, but
so kind of initial thoughts about kind of each of these monster classifications. I thought his headset was broken, but I guess if he wants to. 1 second.
The current Wolf Lord of the Space Wolves is Logan Grimnar, also known as the Old Wolf. He rules from the Hall of the Great Wolf, together with his Wolf Lords such as Harold Deathwolf, Eagle Iron Wolf, and Bjorn Stormwolf.
All I got out of that was wolf, 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 and wolf.
The Space Wolves are incredibly uninspired.
Crow forced a simping hand, apparently.
You mother, you fucking bird.
It's nice to see
at
you
least
do.
enough
I missed
between
you.
them.
And I was planning on saying this to you, and then your ass has to appear.
Let's get on with the topic at hand, shall we?
Okay.
I will murder you in your sleep.
Yeah, you can try.
You're unworthy. any initial thoughts, kind of like about like each of these, kind of like what you kind of think makes up each an intelligent monster, a tragic monster, well, whichever one that like you want to kind of discuss first.
Like, I mean, I got a Hell Mirage, which technically is both bestial and kind of cute.
Most of the time, intelligent and human go hand in hand, as does tragic and human, I suppose.
It might be the difference between sentience and sapience. Human, obviously sapient. Based on some of the selections Dunn makes for intelligent and shows pictures for, it seems that Dunn is defining intelligent as sapient, and human is just fully human dude, just like pick one off the street. And bestial is sentient, not sapient.
I ain't going to regret this, because I will be in so much pain.
Why?
Like, my right ear to the headset's kind of broken. It's hanging on by a wire, so I'm going to be experiencing a lot of pain.
Then you can sit this one out. It's fine.
I absolutely refuse.
You didn't ask for this. You didn't. Oh wait, yes you did.
Wolf is here for me.
Hello,
Hey, my
Hey,
president
Zoe.
got no frats around too. Fantastic,
It's to keep you away from Neph. That's why I'm here.
dude. I'm married.
You don't have to. You don't have to. Crow's a married man, so he's not that much of a Chad.
I refuse to believe this.
Now hold on here. I think we're getting incredibly off topic.
The real monster, the significant other.
Let us
Alrighty.
actually begin.
Alrighty. Let's go to the next one.
But yeah, I certainly asked for this pain.
Intelligent.
Yeah. So with intelligent, usually, like, I would say an intelligent monster is either the big bad or a minion of the big bad. For instance,
An important minion, likely too.
yeah, like for example, the Murdral in Wheel of Time and the Ring Wraiths.
Maybe I
I have another person to murder. Okay, Adam.
No.
Said pie will only belong to me.
Yeah.
could.
Isn't she just? What's the difference between senpai and waifu? I thought it was gender.
Senpai is
Senpai is
upperclassman.
teacher.
It's the opposite of kohai, which is the underclassman.
Yeah, and waifu is basically your wife.
Husbando is the husband version.
Yeah.
Lovely.
And now I'm going yandere. Thanks.
Shush. You play your cards right, you can have them both.
My dick only gets hard from
Oh
women.
my god, guys.
All right, let's move on. But yeah, so like,
Driver, please pick the music.
yeah, okay. Well, and the nice thing is, since Neph is sharing the screen, I can use as many clips as I want.
House rules, Sammy. Driver picks the music. Shotgun shuts his cake hole.
Advancement in technology.
Yep. Yeah.
We discovered nephology.
Yep. So, in terms of an intelligent monster, it seems as though like a lot of it is either you have to like legit make it smart or use creative stuff. Like Freddy Krueger is an example of something that's very creative in terms of he's killing people in their dreams, in their sleep. And has to kind of play into people's fears. Like an example is in Freddy versus Jason, where he actually plays into Jason's fear of water by surrounding him in water in his dreams, which is kind of an interesting way of beating him. And that's kind of how he gets an initial advantage. But in terms of the Ring Wraiths, it's kind of like they're a supernatural and intelligent force, just kind of like Dracula, only they are like minions of the big bad as opposed to the big bad.
We can't go 5 minutes.
Yeah, the chat. let the chat. Let the
I don't
chat.
understand. Why are you saying what the fuck for? What? I meant that because I was in Yandere and I'll murder anyone that just gets kills a senpai?
The joke is
Okay.
gone.
The joke is gone. Moving on. But what are your thoughts on creating like an intelligent monster? Because it seems like most of it's kind of just like create a monster that is like at least of like human intelligence, and usually they're some kind of predator in turn because they have to hunt the bad guy, the good guy, especially in like a fantasy story. Like the Murdral are a good example of like a hunter type creature.
They are.
Same with the
Yes.
ring wraiths.
I've done that myself. I call them sword wraiths.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of the predators from Predator.
Predator. Yeah, what did you mean? Tell me you were talking about Dutterfield revolving predators?
I thought you meant in like the to catch a predator sort of sense.
Yeah.
Child predator.
There's always sexual predator with Angie Everhart and Richard Grieco in it.
Yeah, it's like the joke I'll
God.
occasionally make about horror monsters: illegal alien versus sexual predator.
Oh my God, that's so dumb.
The intelligent
But I
monster
wouldn't put
is
it past these people.
It's a lot of fun to really work with because there's nothing more frightening than becoming the greatest game.
Yeah.
These are things that are just human enough to add that uncanny valley feel. It kind of like seeps into your mind of just the absolute horrors of humanity, the worst things we're possibly capable of. These are their manifestations. Like in this, we have Dracula. We literally have a former human, an undead corpse that has risen up with its own intelligence, his own charm and veneer, and his gentlemanliness. And he preys upon the unexpected, specifically females.
Mm-hmm.
These things it's incredibly terrifying. Because maybe they even hunted for joy. Maybe they
like a Dementor, for example. Only they're more only a Dementor is more animalistic and less intelligent.
It could maybe it is just an animal in human form, or it doesn't even have to be human. It could just be like an alien, as before. Because the xenomorphs, they're not stupid. They're bestial, but they're not idiotic. They have tactics. They know what they're doing. They come up from their prey, usually from behind.
Yeah, usually they are. They don't have like the ability to communicate with humans, but they do have a certain level of strategic and intelligent stuff to it. Well,
I think of the raptors from Jurassic Park as well. They were basically slasher villains at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the raptors are a great example of an intelligent monster. Clever girl.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Being intelligent doesn't necessarily mean that you speak.
Yeah. I would also classify the Indominus Rex from one
Jurassic
of the
World.
newer movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the real deficit of intelligence in that movie was the writers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Correct, Neph, but qualities notwithstanding.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. How do you write a character more intelligent than you are?
You kind of can't.
Yeah, that's a really old Zen kind of riddle. The idea is that
It's
you cannot
hard.
create something better than yourself. Everything
And-
is like a lower facsimile of you.
Yeah, and if you are going to do that, you can't get in their head because otherwise everything falls apart. And that's what happened with Grand Admiral Thrawn. They tried to get into his head and they dumbed him down.
So, actually, Brandon Sanderson has actually done a video about that. Maybe we could cover that sometime. It's really short, but he talks
Ooh.
about
Creating a character more intelligent than you are? That's a fascinating topic. If so,
Yes,
I
please.
certainly disagree with both of you about not being able to do it.
He actually says that you can write. He actually says that you can do it.
It's just hard to do.
It is difficult, but basically you have
It's easy,
to.
but it's hard.
basically like what it kind of it boils down to what is intelligence. It's a lot of it's reaction time / information, and you yourself can control the information of the character and give the character more information. Also, you can make their reaction time to problems and other stuff much quicker than you would be, because it's a book.
Okay, I would say the example of intelligent monster, well, this time it's monsters, is, spoiler alert for Tales of Vesperia, the Antilocheia. These are because most of the time you'd be finding regular mob monsters, they don't think much, they just kill you because reasons. The Antilocheia are very different. They are monsters that actually speak they're older than all of the humanoid races themselves. Like, they've been there for dang near millennia. The oldest of them all is Pharaoh, and they're more in tune with the planet, and they would know when something's plaguing it. Judith is a character that has a connection with one of the Antilocheia, Baul. While he doesn't speak necessarily, he does speak to her, and she does understand what he says.
Kind of like the dragons in Aragon.
Yeah, but she went on the journey with Baul to destroy the Blastia for a big plot point that even I'm not going to spoil.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would also say those type of monsters that like shapeshift and take over people, pod people,
Among Us.
Maybe.
John Carpenter's The Thing. That's an intelligent monster.
Oh, I got another example. The parasites from Parasite.
Spelled with a Y. The anime.
Yep.
Yeah, those.
I was thinking the movie. I was familiar with the anime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they are intelligent, but they lack a lot of human emotions. It's kind of startling how nobody really is easily tell, since they're kind of lacking a lot of basic human emotions, because they have 100% control of the brain. And like, they could do shit that we couldn't think of doing with our lifespan.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because, however, they talk very neutrally. They don't speak with any passion, anger. They don't know half of that. They just speak kind of flat tone-like, as if they're not even human, which they aren't.
Mm-hmm. And I think one of the things that you can do, like with an intelligent monster, is kind of like you can have the like the hero actually engage with them, like in conversation, and kind of like it can illustrate some of the inhumanity of the monster, like when a murderer talks to any of the kids in Wheel of Time. It's really frightening because of both the intensity of their focus, but also it's a really creepy thing to have a dude that is able to see you even though doesn't have any eyes, is like milk pale.
I guess I'll go back to Pharaoh then. He views one of the characters as a poison on his world, and for a reason. It's because of her powers does he view her as such a poison. Because she's unnatural. Well, it's a lot of stuff that I've had to cover, because I really think this is an experience you should see for yourself. But he does think that the only way to solve this problem is just to kill her and be over with it.
Lucille Sharp from Crimson Peak.
I would say that she falls into the human monster category, so we'll talk about her in a little bit.
Actually, you guys never answered my question from last time. What did you think of Crimson Peak?
It's very frightening, and it's very intense. It's definitely not Neph's kind of movie. I quite enjoyed it, just because of the intricacies of the plot and how visually rich it was.
I enjoyed what I could handle, but I had to step out.
It starts off very simplistic. It's one of those kinds of movies that really prays and hopes to God that you've never seen another movie before. But in the end, I feel it does wind up being satisfying in its own right. When it actually starts to move, which admittedly takes a while, it's actually really good.
Alright then, that's good. I gotta watch it now.
I wasn't here for it.
I couldn't because laptop.
Yep.
Next category?
Yeah, is there any other thoughts we want to add?
Not
About, like-
really.
Yeah. And don't, like, one thing with intelligent monsters, do not arbitrarily lower their intelligence for the sake of the plot. That is a very bad decision.
No, don't do that. If you're having trouble with that, don't lower their intelligence. Just
Talk
Don't
to
do it.
somebody and talk to somebody and problem shoot. And just say, hey,
Yeah.
I'm having trouble writing a really intelligent monster. I'm trying to figure out, okay, what are we going to do next? What could this guy do that's clever, but within the bounds of reality, that isn't like too out there, but isn't like stupid either, because the second like you kind of dip or lower the omnipotence power, you could fall into villain Sue category, because usually monsters of this category are bad guys, unless it's like an ally, like say Inuyasha, I suppose.
yeah.
Or
Where
Light
you
Yagami. Or the source material Light Yagami.
Yeah.
That too.
Alrighty. I think that's it. Next category, please.
All right.
Tragic monsters. Yeah. With a tragic monster, there's a lot to work with. Usually a tragic monster is either an anti-hero, or a protagonist, or an antagonist. You can kind of be flexible. Usually, I actually put so the nine-tailed fox thing is actually something from Korean and Asian mythology. I can't remember exactly which, but it's basically this nine-tailed fox that can take the form of a beautiful woman.
That may be the kitsune, but there could also be other iterations in that same geographical region.
Yeah, but let him finish.
Yeah. Basically, the story of the thing is that it's a nine-tailed fox that appears in the form of a beautiful woman, and she has to eat the souls of men that wrong women, and she has an amount of souls that she has to eat before she becomes fully human, but she always falls in love with the last man before she's supposed to eat his soul.
Yeah, that is tragic.
Yeah. And it's kind of just that feeling of like you are going to fall in love with the person who will give you your humanity. It's really, really creepy.
That is a very sad tale.
It gives me the feel as like Terrible Writing Best joked about this before. Yeah, because I always struggle not to fall in love with my food. I love you, pizza.
Yeah. Maybe it's a curse or something.
It's definitely something mythical going on in that sort of deal.
What about Medusa? Would that fit here?
I would say so, because I would say Medusa is tragic because it's not her fault. She just it depends on the iteration that you're going with, because in some things she's deliberately violating deliberately banging Poseidon in the temple of Athena, slash
sometimes
like forsaking.
Not deliberate, but yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's like the Poseidon comes in and rapes her. It kind of depends on which iteration.
Yeah, I'm talking about the iteration where he forced himself on her. He cursed her.
Because, in that case, yes.
Yeah, yes. That's the one that's the one I'm talking about. Yeah, the one I'd rather not say.
She gets her head cut off by Perseus. So
yeah.
I mean, there's Charles Chalkin here just brought up a good point that most Greek mythology is the fault of the gods and the goddesses being vain.
The humanity, and that's where spiders came from.
Arachne is pretty tragic too.
Yeah. But
the actual
and
story of the
sometimes-
Minotaur is
Yeah,
tragic and incredibly messed up, but
yeah, it's really messed up. It's really freaking creepy that like ancient Greek people thought that would be thought that. Well, I imagine like they just wanted to like say screw you to Crete in some ways.
Yeah.
What did I ever do to you? You exist.
So can we
Yes, we have.
according to Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark, yes.
Oh
Because
God!
so who here besides Drake has heard of that play?
I have not.
It's infamous.
I've
Yeah.
heard enough of it.
I never heard of it till
Is
today.
this something I should look into, or is it something I should stay away from?
Look
If
into it
you
with
have
wine.
a desk that's comfortable to slam your forehead into, sure.
Essentially, Spider-Man got his powers because it wasn't like an irradiated spider that bit him; it was Arachne, and there were two versions. One was where Arachne's kind of the final boss, and she's like trying to bone Spider-Man because reasons.
All right.
Oh, you
Oh,
think
dear.
that's a stupid origin for Spider-Man? It's gotten even stupider recently. Apparently, there is a Spider-Man in every dimension because there is a, quote, master weaver at the center of the universe creating a Spider-Man in every world. That's
Spider-Man's
how we get
a
Spider-Man.
level hero. Why are they doing this?
Oh my
Because
God.
he's popular enough to complicate his storyline.
Yeah,
Let's get
Yeah.
back to monsters.
I would
yeah.
say,
let's get-
actually, I
At
would
least it's
say-
not framing. At least it's not framing monsters.
No!
We're taking a long break from that one. We're doing Game of Thrones behind the scenes BS.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll say another example of a tragic monster is the Broken Knights. Sorry, the Broken Lords from the Endless universe. They're not really monsters. They're kind of they were once people, unclear of which race of people they were. But then a nuclear war happened, and inter-system planetary civil war between two variations of the same race happened, and they got turned into these suits of armor that, in order to survive, they have to drain life. And there's two different iterations of them. One of them is the Broken Lords, who are pretty much unaccepting of this fate. Some have, others are pretty much like wanting to retain their humanity while still rebanging their bodies. And there's the Voidiani, who completely accept their fate and think it's better than being flesh and bone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, would the origins of most of the monsters from Lord of the Rings qualify?
As
The Nine Rings?
tragic as tragic.
Mhm.
It really kind of depends. You don't get any of their backstory in any version of the legend in anything in the Legendarium. The most you get is like where they came from.
Isn't it just
That's
implied that they're suckers?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
It's mostly
Yeah.
their greed that leads to their own downfall.
Yeah,
it's more of a punishment for their own vanity.
A non-canon.
Ah.
There's the non-canon Shadow of War game that gives some backstory about 3 of them, and that's in the main game, not including DLC, but it's not canon anyways. There's Helm Hammerhead. I forgot what the other one was, and then there's
Isildur and Sil. Yeah, the main problem with that game is basically the timelines are screwy. All of the 9 were thousands of years before or thousands of years previous to the
Events in the story?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Not to mention the making of a second One Ring of Power.
Yeah, it really used its non-canon status liberally.
yeah, the book is that game is very much like Helm Hammerhand and Isildur are like 1,000 years after all of the 9 appeared. Like all of the 9 appeared at once. They weren't formed over centuries. It's just how it works.
And this game those 2 games take place over the course of mere decades, like what, a couple, 30, 40, like maybe very after Hobbit, between that and Lord of the Rings. It's it really uses non-canon status very, very, very liberally. It really couldn't help itself.
Yeah. But kind of like to go into the mechanics of tragic monsters, like I think that the nine, at least in there, could be good because they are people that have been turned to darkness because they were either greedy or they were tricked. That seems to be the main thing that makes the nine the nine. Frankenstein is kind of a tragic figure in terms of he's just this creature that has been created and thrown into a world that doesn't understand him.
It's basically he's a child.
Yeah, he's a poor child who
The Frankenstein monster. He's practically a child. He's doesn't know. It's not even like hinted at that he knows he's alive.
He's a baby. Leave him alone.
Pretty much, yeah. He doesn't realize what's going on around him. He doesn't have object permanency yet. He may be a soul that's stuck in a body, depending on which version it is.
Mm-hmm.
To bring up the cringe answer, the animatronics are Five Nights at Freddy's. Yeah, I said it'd be the cringe answer.
You got the cringe.
It's,
I don't know. Scott Cawthorne is letting Matt Pat write that story. So what's happening there?
Yeah, I knew that it wasn't going to be satisfying after 3 because after 3 the story became impossible.
It just got way more complicated.
It's very obvious he didn't. I mean, just keep it simple. That's all you had to do. There's a bunch of ghosts and there's a serial killer. That's all you had to do.
The lore just got so fucking confusing overnight. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Overnight.
Yeah. Seriously, it's like you have to do an entire. You can't even summarize it because there's just so much shit to cover.
Yeah,
now.
that's a
whole lot. That's a whole nother topic. But the thing is,
House rules, Sammy. Driver picks the music. Shotgun shuts his cake hole.
Yep,
So, have we talked to this to death?
I think in terms of the mechanic, there's kind of an element of the story of a tragic monster. Usually a tragic monster, they're a protagonist of some type, where they're either misunderstood. In the case of the Gill Man in Shape of Water, that's one example of a misunderstood tragic figure. There's also the Wolf Man is usually a tragic figure because he's basically there's this contrast between either this mild-mannered man that basically goes beast mode and kills a lot of people, and he has to deal with the struggles, like we saw done not to terribly good effect in
Wolfman.
Yeah, that movie was bad. Yeah.
3 hours. God, let's just go. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Done?
But
We're done?
But it's kind of it's either something mystical. Usually it's something either science related or something mystical related that has made them the way they are. It's usually generally with tragic monsters, it's not something within their control that has made them a tragic figure. It's usually they're victims of circumstance. Is how I've seen it a lot of the time. Is that been your guys' findings?
pretty much.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
would even put Spider-Man under this, even though he's not a monster, because he didn't have really any control over how he got his powers.
Yeah, but he's not a monster, so
Yeah.
You know, it's a really ironic choice for this tragic monster category. The
What?
Joker in some iterations.
Yeah, some iterations, he had a really sad backstory.
Mm-hmm.
He used to think life was a tragedy until he realized it was a comedy.
yeah, but you fucking deserve.
Oh my god, that's so dumb.
I thought it worked well for what it was. It's not a terrible movie. It's just definitely not lore or accurate.
It's not a comic book film. It's like if you judge it as a comic book film, it's not a good comic book film. That's what I keep hearing. It's like take it like Joker. If it was just its own movie, then nobody would. Then it'll still be a pretty good. It's a pretty good movie, but as a comic book movie, hell no.
Oh, that's the movie you're talking about. I thought you were talking about the animated Killing Joke, which also kind of sucked.
We're getting off topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's usually that's kind of the thing. Is there anything else to add with tragic monsters? Usually, it's kind of like either a human that's made into a monster that's created with science, a monster that's created by magic, and they're trying to like become human again, or they're kind of just to create like in the case of Medusa, where they're just a monster that is like made. And
one type of monster that we haven't talked about in this category that we probably really should before we move on is
I got one.
Ghost.
We had a stream for that, though.
We did?
Yeah, there was an entire stream for that.
I've been so far behind.
Yeah.
Oh, no worries. It's fine. It's totally fine. If you want to talk about ghosts, but kind of quick summation, but it's basically like ghosts kind of fall into the categories of they're either a tragic antagonist, or a vicious antagonist. They're a helper, or an obstacle, or they're a victim of something.
Okay, I got one.
Yeah.
All right. The main character, Vampire. He's a doctor, and then he got turned into a vampire, and well, the game tries and utterly fails to straddle the themes of I'm struggling to keep. I can't. Are not good at writing stories at all.
Where did all the writing talent go?
Obviously,
Where did all the talent go? Where are all those faces?
It went to jump to actually pay.
Okay, so are we finished with tragic?
I think so.
It would be a tragedy if we weren't.
I'm already dreading the thought. It's so tragic.
Bestial!
Yeah, this one's fun.
Yeah, these I think are my favorite ones.
Yeah, usually a bestial, that's really simple. Like, admittedly, like, Fenrir is semi-intelligent. Like, he actually has, like, the ability to talk, but he's still an animal in a lot of ways.
Smog, too, if you're going that way.
Smog would fall under more intelligent than bestial.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah, I think
he's still bestial because he's a dragon.
Yeah. But that doesn't.
These are hybridized very easily.
Yeah. I would. I think I got one.
You know, nothing says more scary more than just a big hulking monster.
Yeah.
The Hydra would go here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's why I put the Nemean lion and the Minotaur here, because the Minotaur, even though like he's semi-humanoid in terms of like what he looks like, he's still basically a brute animal.
Yeah, he's
people.
Not really human either.
I got in relation to a Minotaur, another Minotaur, Asterios.
That is the Minotaur from the
different
Asterion. Asterion's the actual name of the Minotaur.
I mean, a different Asterios. There's a freaking character named Asterios. Jesus Christ.
Probably based on the original name of the Minotaur, I imagine.
Yep. Yes. Very specifically, this Minotaur. This fucking Minotaur. He just happens to have a relation with the main character.
Typically the chat goes quiet because they like to listen to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't post anything in chat for a while, it registers you as not being there anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But in terms of like with a monster, it's basically just like usually they're just an obstacle. You just gotta kill them.
Yeah, I mean,
is usually like the way of a monster, or you turn them into a pet. Either one, in terms of like Androcles and the lion, might be an example.
Yeah,
every
Pokemon
single
turns
Pokemon.
them all into pets.
Well, that's cute. We'll get into cute in a little bit.
Yeah.
I would say Sif. Sif, the Great White Wolf. He's a combination of, Sif's a combination of tragic, bestial, and a bit of intelligence.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Can't wait to see that.
Something awful. By what do you mean by awful? Do you mean pornographic?
Probably.
No,
Oh.
this is a Mormon stream. God damn it!
Every time I come on stream, it always gets off topic and derailed, and porn comes up. I don't know why.
Because it's hilarious.
I just wanted to talk about monsters.
Because you have a filthy
All right.
mind.
But it turns out the real monster was me.
Yeah, you have a filthy, dirty mind. Cleanse thine self.
I like you too, Wolf.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
that's enough.
Yeah, but usually kind of like you gotta just like work with kind of like something that kind of like works really well is making the animal basically like just a big hulking beast. Like for example, I put Scylla from Scylla and Charybdis.
Ooh, the
Odyssey
Chasm
up to-
Fiend!
Yeah, the Chasm Fiend is a good example of a bestial monster, but I actually only found if you could kind of zoom out for a second.
Sure.
Just click next. So what you want to do is click on the thing in the far right. That's the Chasm Fiend. With the guy standing in front of it, that's the Chasm Fiend. Yep. That's an example of like just a giant bestial creature that is a very like terrifying antagonist, just mainly because of its size. Because the Chasm Fiend's huge. Like that's in comparison to a dude in shard plate, a Chasm Fiend is huge.
I got two. They're very.
So are they not necessarily malevolent?
No, they're just monsters. Chasm Fiends are just monsters.
Just about
So
anything.
kind of like the Colossi from Shadow of the Colossus?
Pretty much.
I got one. Well, two.
Yeah.
Yep, they're both on the same universe as well, so it just makes it simpler. The Necrophage and the Cravers. They are both semi-intelligent, but their intelligence only extends to, well, we know how to make stuff, but mostly we just want to eat stuff. They grow fast, they consume, they don't stop until they consume everything. It even shows, because in the gameplay mechanics, they are just penal. They have like a Necrophage, they have a penalty to food growth. Because they reproduce fast. Their entire thing is they really can't declare war. They don't have time for intelligent talk. Any talking you'll be doing is with the sword. They are something, and then some of the races' main quest, they're the antagonist because they're just a force that can't be reasoned with.
Yeah.
And the Cravers, they're very similar to semi-intelligent, but they're actually created by the virtual think for the endless civil war, and they just pretty much destroyed planet after planet after planet. And then when they left, it was like, well, we still gotta destroy stuff because that's all we know what to do.
Yeah. A dragon can often fall into this category, like the Western Beast, and we've done a whole stream on dragons, so you can go check that out if you want.
It's my favorite stream to go back and listen to.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Fuck you, Crow!
Yeah, bestial monsters, they're really, really simple. If you're looking to just make a simple bestial monster, just take an animal in the real world, make it big. And you're done.
Yeah.
Like a Chasm Fiend is basically just a giant crab that basically a giant crab dragon is what a
Old
Chasm
classic sci-fi trope. You just take the
Giant enemy crab.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids has giant ants, but they
exactly. That's exactly where I was going with that, Nev. Just make a giant bug.
Eight-legged Freaks has
Giant spiders.
giant spiders.
Don't put that image in my head. I actually.
And I would be remiss to not mention the Tyranids.
Oh, actually, Tyranids, they're kind of similar. The third thing is, well, we're going to eat you anyways because you're on our dinner path.
We eat because it is who we are.
All the monsters in Monster Hunter games. There you go.
Yeah,
that's. I think
the
that's
whole
kind of like,
series of games just based around this concept.
but how to make Monster Hunter creation team? Okay, I have an idea. Was it you go around, you kill monsters? Why?
because
What do you need the armor for? Go around, kill bigger monsters.
Yeah, and you
Nope.
can. And the nice thing about all of these last three monsters is you can kind of like play with this and have monsters that fit into any of these categories throughout. It's just a matter of what you want the monster's function to be. Another thing that helps monsters is when they aren't just serving a function, but they are like you can see them as a real creature. Like you can see them. Guillermo del Toro puts it really well in terms of like the monster doesn't just form a function. It also like has like you can picture it in repose, like when it's resting, like kind of how you picture a lion. Like a lion isn't always just on the attack constantly. It can also be like sitting there in repose.
You can see it as a part of nature.
Yeah, you see it like it just looks.
It's lying down napping.
It's a part of the ecosystem. It does. It performs a role. It eats this thing that provides a predatory thing for this. Maybe like another monster in the thing kind of like lives symbiotically with it or parasitically with it.
You know what could have been used as intelligent monsters? Drake, remember the Drake? What about the Necrons? Would they fit technically?
I would classify them more as undead, but we'll get to that probably another stream. I think a zombie one was in the queue.
I think that we'll probably
the Catan also would be Lovecraftian, so
yeah, we can. I think we can discuss that probably tomorrow or next week, depending, or maybe even just leave it till next year, whichever.
Sounds good to me. It doesn't matter to me where we go.
But yeah. I'm just following because Neph's there.
Yeah. So. But in terms of like just discussion points, I think that pretty much covers it for bestial. It's mainly just a bestial runs into either you have a giant monster that is a threat to the hero is usually how it works.
Or just monsters mind their own business, which is just killing other things because they're monsters. And then you have to go around and hunt them because you need that armor.
Yeah.
Yep. Next one.
All right. Human.
Yeah, with this one, it's very much like usually it's basically either insane, cruel, or all of the above.
Like Mr. Hyde.
Yes, Mr. Hyde is very much an example of this, where he is a human created.
Zofres. Yes, the 2 days of getting stuff done. Tomorrow or next year.
Well, we gotta have material for next. We gotta have material for next Halloween.
Yeah, we do.
We can't cover everything, otherwise there'll be nothing. Otherwise, all we'll do is just sit on, twirl our thumbs, and saying, "Why the hell are we still here?"
What the heck happened to me? I used to be the crown prince of comedy. But usually, kind of with a human monster. You can go one of two ways. You can make them like twisted psychologically, where they kind of just. Lucille is a good example. For instance, look, because like she's this twisted person who wants ownership of everything in her sphere of influence. Like she wants ownership of her brother, both like in every sense of the word, including sex, with her brother. It's. No kidding, really. Like that's
no, I know. I told you. I read the plot several times.
Yeah, she's yonder for her brother.
Basically. Kodomini Kirei.
Yeah. Another example. Oh, go for it. Sorry.
No, sorry. You go.
Oh, okay. I put a couple of people from Game of Thrones. I put Ramsay and Gregor Clegane because, in a lot of ways, Gregor Clegane is a human beast. He is a 7-foot-tall man who suffers from terrible migraines and wants nothing more than to just like kill people. Like he is a very evil person in a lot of ways who just is an animal, but he's as opposed to someone like Ramsay who likes hurting people because he thinks it's fun. He's very much a sadist.
What about Joffrey?
I would classify Joffrey in the same thing as Ramsay. Ramsay's worse because Ramsay's an adult and actually like skins multiple people alive. He like chases women with his hunting dogs. I think like Ramsay is very much the logical extension of Joffrey, but he's actually not as scary as his dad because Ramsay isn't isn't competent. He just kind of relies on betraying people who already trust him, whereas his dad is actually a schemer and is very strategic and intelligent, whereas he is not.
Okay.
Given the stuff we've looked at recently, I'm surprised that you didn't have a picture of Anton Chigurh.
I actually do have Anton Chigurh up there.
Where?
Yeah, click to the side. Click next.
Wait,
Click yeah. Right up there.
Ah, there he is. I knew it.
Oh, I thought of him. He's there.
Yeah. He actually raises a very interesting thing about like the potential of human villains, because if you look in the context of the movies in No Country for Old Men, he's very unknowable. By the context of every other character, he is extremely different, and to the point where he's nearly unpredictable by the characters, and because of his clashes with how the other characters behave, even to the audience, they don't even know what to make of him initially.
Yeah,
he could do anything.
Yeah, how much have you ever lost on a coin toss?
What? How much have you lost?
I would say nearly every single character in The Boys is technically a human monster.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it sounds like to me as well.
They really are, though.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I just constantly stopping. I finished episode 3 like a couple days ago, and I'm like, I gotta finish this because I don't want to continue suffering.
Mm-hmm. I feel you. It's right up my alley, unfortunately. It's right up my alley, but I was really disappointed by season 2. But we will discuss that another time. Anyway, so in terms of the human monster, a lot of it's kind of like most of it kind of relies on making him a cruel thing. Usually is how it works with a human antagonist. You can flick back to the other ones. Just press the left arrow key.
Yeah, a large number of slasher villains would fall into this category.
Yeah, like Jason, Freddy Krueger, etc.
Early works and stuff before they started getting all weird and supernatural. But that's more of a fault of the writers running out of ideas.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Khan would be a human
bestial. I think he's kind of like semi-bestial, I think is the best way of characterizing Kong.
Not Kong.
What?
Not King Kong. Khan.
Khan from Star Trek?
Yes.
Khan!
Oh, yes.
It's like our rubber forehead aliens could basically be human monsters.
Pretty much, yeah. Like the Krogan from Mass Effect.
Kurgan. Oh, I was thinking the Kurgan from what is it? The
Highlander?
Yeah. Yeah, the Kurgan from Highlander is a psycho. He's a crazy man.
The wraiths from Stargate are sometimes used as intelligent monsters.
Good point. Yeah. Yeah, and with human monsters, like there's kind of like I think a good example is Norman Bates, where he is just a guy. He's a guy, but the weirdest thing about him is his twisted dual personality, where he's like overcome by his mother's presence, even though like he killed his mother and her lover, and then just kind of assumed his mother's personality. It's kind of like why that movie is really freaking weird. That movie's freaking weird. I think that's it for human monsters. A lot of like human monsters are kind of like they can be complex or simple, but usually they revolve around they are cruel to one extent or another is the main driving force of a human monster, at least that I've observed.
Another observation is that they really bring the monstrosity to you. It's like I said about Sugar and context. It's Dark Knight actually changed my opinion of like superheroes a lot, and that it recontextualized Batman and his entire struggles, because Joker seems very puny and insignificant next to somebody who can shoot, say, Omega beams out of their eyes. But if you reduce the power level down to Law and Order levels, Batman really is a superhero in that context, and Joker really is a supervillain just because he's outside of that context.
That's true, I suppose.
Yeah.
All right. Next
That's
one.
pretty much.
Okay.
Damn it.
The artificials, essentially.
Yeah. Terminator is a really good example of this.
Come to think of it, so is Skynet.
The clink clank.
Yeah.
It was arguably the bigger bad of Terminator, if you're not counting the writers.
What about Hal?
Yeah.
Sorry,
I
Dave.
think
I can't let you do that. Daisy, Daisy.
I can't let you do it. The guy in The Shining, he is a very good example of a human monster, basically like a monster who's driven to be a monster by his circumstance. It's a very good example, actually.
Technically, Civil System would count, but it's also a technicality because Civil System's not really a computer, but at the same time, it's not really. It's kind of human, but also very automaton-like.
The Daleks from Doctor Who.
They're more like well-armed aliens.
The Cybermen are more what you want to go with there on that Neph.
Mm-hmm.
The Daleks are actually like some sort of alien inside that contraption controlling it. I don't know enough about Doctor Who, but apparently they're like
They used to be the Calids.
creature.
They're like little amoebas.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the more technology advances, automatons don't necessarily have to be robots anymore. More often, like with the examples of kinda Terminator and definitely Ultron, are AI villains.
Mm-hmm.
Like HAL, GLaDOS, Skynet, the D-Reaper.
Yeah, the D-Reaper. I need to watch that again.
I made you remember that.
No, you didn't. I've been meaning to rewatch that, and it's just.
Third season of Digimon is the best season.
Yes, it is.
It is the only season.
The first two seasons are also really good, but
I have not. I have watched the first two seasons. I watched maybe up to half of the third.
You need to finish the third.
I would.
The third is really trippy because let's bring this back a little bit while continuing my point. The thing about those AI villains is that they have shells that don't matter. So that explains a lot of why you can't just shoot your way out of the situation, because you have to take them out from their AI components.
Actually,
you have to corrupt them or infect them somehow.
Actually, then, wouldn't Digimon count as automaton no matter what form they take? Because they
depends on the series. 1 and 2, no. 3, yes. 4, definitely no. 5, I haven't seen.
it depends. They're digital creations, sort of, and they got their own life.
Yeah.
And everything.
In 1 and 2, they're hybrids. In 3, they're pure data that just got protein synthesized. In 4, they're basically another life form altogether that's barely explored that much, and it's more about their culture than how they work.
and a lot of it is kind of like Ultron, at least like in Age of Ultron. He's kind of like goes from shell to shell in a lot of ways, where he's not like totally like stuck in his body.
You're talking about Ultron?
Yeah, Ultron, where you can kind of like go from body to body.
Or inhabit multiple bodies simultaneously.
Yeah.
The thing about automation is it usually is some sort of program that is following out a directive. Sometimes it's a self-thinking machine, sometimes it's not. Like Terminator on its own is not a self-thinking machine. It has a program that it must follow. It can think its way around problems, but Skynet is the master program.
Skynet's the motivation. It's not self-motivated, but it can think critically.
Yes.
Let's see. It kind of sounds like Akasuna no Sasori from Naruto, actually. Kind of. And I say kind of because there's still some part of him that lives, but he's basically a puppet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if there's a living component, at worst, that's a cyborg, not necessarily like something purely artificial. Like I would even contest like Star Wars robots as automatons, and not really, because thematically they're meant to evoke like serfs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate
the battle droids in the prequel series of works is definitely fall into this program.
Yeah.
I really hate to bring these guys up since I fucking hate Halo 5. But the fucking Halo 5 Cortana, holy shit, they ruined her character so hard.
Oh, the orange robots. I know what you're about to talk about.
Yep, I hate those. I fucking hate what they did to Cortana. It's just, oh shit, they made her to a villain and they didn't any explanation given on her. It's like, oh, now AI are meant to rule the galaxy. Like, no, why?
They Terminator Genesis Cortana. Oh.
Yep. Holy shit. They couldn't. They fucked up a bit of her. They fucked up a lot of her character in Halo 4, especially that ending scene where he's like, I always want. It's where they kind of made it seem like Cortana loved Chief for some reason. That was never the fucking case. But in Halo 5, holy shit, they really just like whip-a-dip-a-doo, and oh no, Cortana's
Yep. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, it's like,
you can do a lot with like you can kind of like with other monsters, you can kind of play with the intention, like the intelligence of said monster. Like the Terminator's not intelligent per se. He's efficient, but he's not nearly indestructible. But he's not a like high thinker, I guess.
No,
is the best way of putting it.
He's not able to think outside of his program.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the movie, I heard there was a novelization where for the Terminator where it was actually very different. The Terminator was less of an Austrian bodybuilder and more just this random guy who just does not care about buckshot. He's supposed to be an infiltrator. And you don't infiltrate anything as Arnold Schwarzenegger, except maybe a bodybuilding competition.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Neph.
Oh no, I wasn't gonna say anything. I was laughing.
All right. I also want to point out we have the Iron Giant listed up here.
Yeah, we do. I remember
That's an
that.
interesting one. It's
because he's kind of a combination of a few things, because he is very much he seems like he's very tragic. Yeah, he's a tragic creature, but he's kind of an automaton monster in a lot of ways, where
he fits into that category where he mixes up a whole bunch of the stuff, because he's also intelligent. His whole programming is it seems like he's built to destroy, or maybe it's just self-defense protocol in case he ended up somewhere hostile, because his base form is not a giant weapon. That comes after, and it's supposed to look like the comic book robot he sees from one of the books.
Yeah, he's a destroyer who forgot he's a destroyer.
Is he? Because he doesn't start pulling all the weapons down until he's attacked. So it may have just been programmed to be defense.
So there is a deleted flashback scene where the giant actually sees a monster of other iron giants like him that are like destroying planets. So
these things are not canon.
Yeah, they're not canon, but it's like it's kind of like an insight into what they might have been interested in doing. You might say.
Oh, so that wasn't intended to be canon.
I think it was originally like they were originally going to do it, but then decided to scrap it.
Yeah. It might be better to do it that way just to maintain more mystery, because then you don't really know what the Iron Giants were developed for at all, or even if this is the only one.
Yeah, that's a good reason why it may have been scrapped. Or they didn't want people to lose sympathy for the Iron Giant. I mean, I want to be friends with giant robot Vin Diesel.
Yeah,
it's like Alita Battle Angel works on a similar principle. It's like all throughout the movie and in the at least the movie, maybe not the old anime. She got flashes of her previous life as a super soldier, but she didn't remember any of it. She just knew that she was wrecked and basically woke up and absorbed everything around her, just in an information sense.
What happened to me? I used to be a super soldier superstar. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
No, I know. It's okay.
And it's like she has similar warrior instincts to the hypothetical what could have been the Iron Giant, and kind of similar.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
I don't know if that was over.
Yeah, I love that movie. It's got a lot of memes in it. But yeah, I think that like just an automaton, you can kind of mostly. An automaton is not generally like, unless they are hyper intelligent like Ultron, generally they are not the main bad guy. They're usually the arm of the bad. Yeah, they're usually the arm of the bad guy. Like if you got like say the droids from what is it, the
Star Wars.
From
Star Wars, Clone Wars.
Yeah, they're just the mooks.
Yeah, they're
the AI version of automatons tend to be the big bad.
Oh yeah,
like Cal, Ultron.
Another one I just thought of, Venjix.
Yeah.
See if anybody gets that reference.
Venjix. Huh.
Venjix.
Isn't that from? Oh, I know what it is. It's that one CGI show.
Venjix.
From where they're like the computer and
it looks really kind of weird.
Yeah,
but it kind of works in a way.
I didn't know there was another one. Wasn't the one I was thinking of.
Well,
Power Rangers RPM, essentially. Essentially, it was the season that made their bad guy Skynet and killed like 90% of the population of Earth.
And then he creates his own body eventually.
A few of them.
Yeah, a few of them.
Because they had so much Sentai to get around.
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine they did.
Hats off.
Automation. And of course, the big fear that a lot of this plays off of is the fear of machine replacing man.
Mm-hmm.
It's essentially we've created something we can't control. To quote the one guy from Spy Kids 2, do you think God hides in heaven because he too fears what he's created?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if this is what it's like to be a mom.
Well, we'll find out after Wolf and Neph inevitably get married in the season finale.
Mm-hmm. Now, that'll be serious.
Season finale. Somebody's ambitious.
Yeah.
No, you have to do like 3 fake out love confessions, one each season.
Oh, and they have to date 2 other characters.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's go to the next one, shall we?
Alright.
And we'll just kind of go to the cute, basically.
Yep.
Cute monsters. I chose Monsters Inc. Kind of that could also work into the kind of like the world of monsters, where it's this.
Yeah, that was the one where they were running off of fright until they found out that laughter works way better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Pokemon, of course.
Yeah, Pokemon.
And Yu-Gi-Oh! And you chose Yuya Sakaki, interestingly enough. It was the first time that the protagonist ever got the Blank Eyes Blank Dragon in their deck.
Yeah, the Odd Eyes Pendulum
Odd Eyes
Dragon.
Pendulum Dragon.
Yeah. And I hate Yuya Sakaki's deck from like an aesthetic level, but I like how it works.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I hate how it works mechanically too, because it's busted as fuck.
Well, if it was anything other than the stupid Performapals, I just hate the aesthetic that it's a bunch of circus animals.
You think that's bad? They could have given him Cliffords.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of those cards, and I really hate all of them because they look so. They look much too cutesy.
Yeah.
Performapals in English. They're called entamati in Japanese. So entermate, which sounds really weird. I can see why they changed it.
I use.
Yeah.
Oh,
But yeah, it's just like
they just don't. Cute monsters are better than monsters.
Soren Markov?
Thank you, I guess, because I made Soren.
That's your avatar, isn't it?
Yep, that's my avatar. So I think it's a covert jab. Thank you.
It's like Soren on one side, Nahiri on the other side.
I'm back.
Just fuck already.
Okay. For example, I got an example of a cute monster.
Who?
Wine.
What?
Wine.
Who?
Wine.
Oh, sure.
Hang on. Do you want me to show her a picture?
Yeah, because I legit have no idea what you're talking about.
We don't know who you're talking about.
Neopets is a cute monster.
Yeah, Neopets.
Pretty much anything big-eyed and round-faced, bright colors. I don't know who this is.
That's Vine.
Vine. Oh, you're saying Vine. Okay.
I have no
Oh
idea
my god,
who
she's
you are.
adorable.
Yeah. You want to know how adorable she is? The entire the community even has a dedicated subreddit to her.
Oh wow.
They only call it the Wine Reich.
Wow.
Well, she may look humanoid. She's actually a Xenos, which is. Remember when I said I brought up as stereos?
Hmm.
Yeah, that's why he's one of these guys. They're intelligent monsters that they are alive. They think they have feelings. They very much can die when they are killed.
Hmm. So in terms of like
Xenos?
Xenos.
Yeah.
I know.
So
Xenos die when they are killed.
You can do a couple of things with cute monsters. You can also make the monster a somewhat like you can make it a trick monster, like the monsters in like those creepy little things in Galaxy Quest, where they just like look like cute babies, then you realize, oh, they turn into monstrous killing
Goose
eating
from
things.
Captain Marvel.
Oh yeah, the Lovecraftian cat.
Oh, I got another one. There's these monsters. There are these little pet things in Ratchet and Clank 2. I forgot what they were called. Let me look them up real quick.
While he's doing that,
like they
I
were
want to bring up a D&D monster that is built around the idea that you just brought up, Dunn. I can't remember what the name is. It's just because it's a really, really, really old monster. This is like back in first edition. It's essentially a stump with a rabbit on top of it. And its whole deal is to be cute so that when the adventurers come up to pet it, the stump comes alive and tries to eat them.
Oh, it kind of reminds me of Monty Python Rabbit, which also probably qualifies.
Yes, that falls
Oh
into-
boy,
Vocal rabbit.
that's not a rabbit. That's a monster.
Yeah.
Vorpal Rabbit?
From Monty Python and the Holy Grail?
Yeah.
If you bring up that rabbit, bring up
With
the
big, sharp, gnashing teeth.
Bring up the holy hand grenade of Antioch.
you did so
It's
Yeah.
just a rabbit. No, it's
Uh,
not. Run away!
I mean, it can jump. It has a. It is. Look at the bones.
I'll go kill it.
Right, sir. One rabbit suit coming right up.
She turned me into a newt. I got
that.
She turned me into
A lot of sidekick monsters. This is actually really common in anime. It's just about like every sort of magical girl has one.
Kyubey, Luna and Artemis from Sailor Moon.
Kyubey's actually a massive subversion.
Yeah,
Oh.
but it's still cute. That's the
So,
point.
What about Orion?
now that we've kind of cited examples, what are some like advantages of having a cute monster?
Marketability.
Yeah, very much marketability.
Yes.
Because
Pokemon, we're looking at you.
yeah, Baby
We're
Yoda is technically a cute monster in a way because he's
Maybe Yoda could die.
And well, Pikachu, obviously.
All of Pokemon. Especially
Yeah.
Eevee. Eevee's been getting way up in popularity in the past couple of years.
That's my
It's
favorite.
like old Pokemon trivia that the first Pokemon, that Ash's main Pokemon was supposed to be like a Rhydon or something, but Pikachu won out because of cuteness.
It was going to be
Yeah.
a Meowth, I believe.
Meowth? I haven't
Yeah.
heard that one.
Can
My-
somebody
my
can
favorite.
we add
my
into this
favorite
kind?
Pokemon is Eevee. The only eight.
Monster Girls.
Oh,
What is-
Monster Girls.
That's
Monster
a
Girl.
monster I'd
Monster
like
Girls under
to...
cute. I
So
would
it's
put Monster Girls under cute.
mhm.
Yeah,
Maybe
because nothing is
soft
cuddly
monsters.
like a slime girl.
I don't know, sometimes it depends upon the monster girl.
Yeah, like the cute monster girl among the horde of everything else is usually a big thing. Yeah,
And then there's the sexy Monster Girls.
which I would classify that under.
Kyo, Tama,
Tamagotchi.
I was thinking like, who here has seen the Warcraft movie? As bad as that movie is,
Nope.
I have not.
Heart.
yeah.
I've
So
seen only this one clip. What have you done? Sometimes the hands of fate must be forced.
yeah, essentially, there's a hot orc chick played by Paula Patton, whereas most of the other, and because she's a half orc.
Still does not convince me.
Yeah, it's a strange bad movie. It's the best video game movie ever made, but that's not saying much.
Yeah, most of your game movies are your range from god awful to just meh.
Yeah.
Most of them fall under god awful.
What about when the monster becomes cute later on in the series? I think of the baby Metroid.
Huh.
Huh.
Because Metroids are basically a very unsubtle, this being Japan, analogy to nuclear weapons. Because everybody wants the Metroids, despite the fact that they're hugely destructive and no one can be trusted to hold them. And they're right. But then the baby Metroid is the one that Samus, on her mission to exterminate the species, is the one that she doesn't kill in sort of an Ender's Gamey sort of way, possibly. Until Other M clarified it for us. Thank you very much for that.
No, I've not seen Sonic the Hedgehog. I have.
You should.
It's
It's
actually
the
good.
best movie of the freaking year.
Yeah,
it
a
does
lot
have
of
a lot of
mascots fall
competition.
under cute monsters.
I have heard
Yes.
a lot of good things about it from other people who have seen it, but I am constantly pressing X and doubting it.
Well,
Well then,
it doesn't suck. It's actually
it doesn't suck. It really doesn't.
It's at least not as bad as you may be thinking. It's
Yeah.
simplistic, so don't go in there expecting Citizen Kane. But
I mean, come on. It's not a boy Hedgehog being
I don't
chased by an
expect
evil.
like-
Yeah, don't go in expecting something like Sonic Adventure 2's storyline, which
I
is
never played
a bit
Sonic
more
Adventure 2.
complex. But
Mm-hmm.
Chow would definitely be cute monsters.
Let me think.
yeah, the Chow. Definitely the Chow.
shut up.
It does not suck.
Alright, fine. How about this?
But you haven't even seen
How
the
about this?
movie.
I'll make, or,
I haven't
I'm
seen
gonna
it.
make a promise that when the stream is over, I will go on to F movies and watch Sonic the Hedgehog.
Alrighty. Well, we will. We'll do that. We'll do something like that another time. It's not my thing. I'm not a fan of Sonic. I don't really care. So
I
I'll-
don't expect you to set aside time to watch it. I don't.
yeah,
I do.
It's kind of the only movie that I've seen this year that I'm just like, oh, this is actually like I actually decently enjoyed my time watching it was Tenet, even though Tenet is deeply flawed and like has a lot of problems. Like because like it has a lot of characters, specifically like a lot of character problems.
You know, I will at least give one thing: it's at least the Ratchet and Clank movie wasn't as bad as. Well, it's not bad that it's adapting like the later Ratchet and Clank games because let's be honest, it's a reboot. It's pretty much the reboot move. The Ratchet and Clank reboot's essentially just a movie, but in game form, and that's exactly what it is. It uses a lot of like cutscenes from the movie. And even from watching the movie, it's like, oh boy, they really done Ratchet bad. They clearly don't understand what kind of person Ratchet is. He's not some wide-eyed, naive, idealistic, little good person. He's kind in the first game, he's like, he really doesn't care about McAllen.
Yep. Let's move on.
It takes the entire game to start caring about more from himself. He's very selfish at times.
Yeah. But in terms of like a cute monster, a lot of it falls into a like you kind of fall into samey plots a lot of the time, which is kind of a problem.
Well, here, everyone watching this stream now. In the future, we have over 200.
He lures you in with a sense of sweetness, and then she torments you for the rest of your life.
Is Sonic the Hedgehog unambiguously blue?
Yes.
I want a declaration made to be here today. To everyone watching this stream now, in the future, and when we have over 20 more than enough to get done monetized, if they're watching this, is I want you to create a Dun the Hedgehog fan art and spam it in this, and then just send it to him en masse.
Done.
Zofras could do that by herself, probably.
Probably.
I'm still
probably.
making this. I still am asking this of the chat, of the entire audience that we have now and in the future.
Yes.
Anyway.
All right. But in terms of like a cute monster plot, usually the cute monster often functions as a MacGuffin. This is also true of Monsters Inc., where in this case the human is the cute monster that is being hidden from the rest of the monsters. She's still the MacGuffin. Yeah, it's very much like that's usually where the cute monster falls into, unless it's like ubiquitous toward the whole thing.
That's different from Pokemon. Pokemon
is ubiquitous. Pokemon is an example of ubiquitous creatures all around. Usually, like if it's a cute monster in our world, usually the protagonist is either a young person or a parental figure that is trying to keep the monster away from criminals or the government. That's usually where it falls into.
Or in the case of Pokemon Conquest, as they are you, that we essentially fight our wars with them.
Monster Rancher does both of those things.
Wait, which Monster Rancher are you talking about?
The anime.
Oh, that one. Yes, that one.
Oh no. Nihilum's last comment.
Oh.
Oh no.
Well,
So-
unlike you guys, I actually like getting fan art. So
So, I like fan
I
art
never
too. It's
had
very
fan art
flattering.
I never was sent fan art in my entire fucking life.
I've never been sent fan art.
I haven't gone big enough for people to even think I was worthy of it.
ha,
I
have
haven't
to
either
answer
yet.
you,
I mean, I did get like a couple. There was a time when I did request a couple images drawn, but only one ever got out of it. And, well, that's about it. It was just for a fan fiction I was writing, and I just wanted a map. I wanted a flag, actually. Like,
Speaking of things that we were writing, I think we're on to the next topic, which I don't think we have a slide for, but monsters we designed ourselves and how they fit into all these categories.
Yeah, we
Or
can do
do
that.
we want to call it?
The first we can say, first we gotta see this.
Oh, is
Okay.
there another one?
Done the Hedgehog.
Oh.
my god.
Yay!
Nah, it's not done enough.
Yeah.
It needs to be ambiguously brown.
Yeah, because Dun's name means brown.
Yeah, it needs to be more well done.
Ambiguously done hedgehog.
Because this is rare. I
Yeah.
don't know you, but I don't like my done art rare.
Yeah. Yeah, but we can kind of like while we're waiting for the Q&A, we can discuss kind of monsters that we've created and how they function into each of these archetypes. And while we're discussing that, please put your questions in the chat. I'd like to hear them. Just put them in the chat, and we will answer them as they come up. But Drake, you go first.
Okay, I'm probably gonna like two for this because there's a lot that I can't say about them, but the lycanthropes and the Zongrit. Originally, if you look back into long real-world ancient design documents, they were originally meant to be like a vampire versus werewolf sort of thing. But then I decided, for different character purposes, to turn them into what they are now. The Zongrit are essentially my annoyance with the fact that elves in just about every game imaginable are characterized by the fact that they're super smart, super fast, and cannot take a punch. So it really strikes me as weird that they would consider themselves some kind of super master race. So I considered, what kind of entity would consider itself a master race?
A straight white man.
Dragons. They're like 10-foot tall bipedal super magic dragons that actually created the religion that everybody in the world now uses. And everybody worships their gods, kind of. And they were integral to learning the magic system of the universe. And one of their biggest limitations is that for all their magical power, they can't breed. All the Zongrit that exist are all the ones that will ever exist, which is why they were nearly driven to extinction in the Tragraat by the lycanthropes, the next monster I came up with. And anybody who's been following me for a very, 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 very long time would recognize both of these entities from Chaos Card Captor Sakura, where I essentially made a cloud deck where there were two guardians, one a lycanthrope and one a Zongrit. The lycanthrope then called Lycan, who actually originated the name. And the lycanthropes, it's not really known much about what they are initially, but they're like predatory creatures, and despite their name, they can be any kind of predator. Canonically, we've seen the Pericanus Hound, the Pericanus Carcharodon, the Pericanus Worm, the Pericanus Ornithos. I've implied in various other games I've written that they're actually insect versions, and in charge of all of these are the progenitors. We've seen one a couple of times, in fact, Leviathan, who is the boss of all the aquatic ones. And it's not entirely sure how this works, but it suggested that when a progenitor dies, it undoes the sort of curse that makes all the lycanthropes in that genus. It's questionable whether or not they survive the transformation back, of course, but that does seem to be how it works. Another one whose existence is implied is Wyvern, the aerial lycanthrope, and there's another floating around as well, but we'll see that one later. And the point of the lycanthropes is that obviously, like most werewolves, when you die, you turn into one, and there are ways around this. Basically, you essentially have to get killed by some other means so that the curse doesn't count. And the curse is a corruption that turns your spirit into this slavering creature. It's highly effective against voidwalkers, who in science and sorcery have the ability to reincarnate, and it shuts that ability off. You instead turn into a lycanthrope. And eventually, where this is all going is that the lycanthropes themselves are metaphorical for one of the larger themes of science and sorcery, which I will reveal once we learn more about them.
Sounds good. Neph, you're up next.
Okay.
And just a reminder to the chat, please, if you have any questions about writing monsters or any questions in general, please put them in the chat. This is basically just a time filler while you guys put your questions there.
Yeah. Okay, so I called mine sword wraiths. And basically what they are is that they are human predators that are when I say that, they prey on humans, which means that they hunt us. Yes, it's basically the most dangerous game. I have not decided what their natural form looks like, but their abilities are they can possess people and take their place. And when they do that, they slowly devour the person they've possessed from the inside out. So, yeah, scary. They also don't have... Let's see. They have human forms that they can take to hunt, but because they lack patience, the hungrier they get, the more likely they are to let the cat out of the bag, shall we say.
Okay.
It is the most patient of sword wraiths that you have to actually fear. They're also very durable and they're very hard to kill. So... Let's see. We've got a question.
Yeah.
What is more bestial, wyvern or great sandworms?
They're the same. It really depends on the rider.
Yeah, you can either have wyverns be intelligent or just beasts that fly and kill. And well, sandworms, they'll just eat you anyways. I don't think I've seen a sandworm that's really that intelligent, where they speak to you or get philosophical, or just like, I won't eat you. You're a pretty nice chill dude. I won't eat you.
I don't know what you mean by more bestial. I mean, you got a wyvern on one side, a great sandworm on another, and I'm thinking, girls, you're both pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really depends on the setting. I don't know what he means by great sandworms, and I assume by wyvern he means the D&D typical one.
I guess so. I'm not sure either.
Unless for some real weird reason you mean the wyvern I mentioned.
Neph, are you done with your monster?
Yeah.
All right, I guess I'll talk about two monsters that I created. The first one I want to talk about is recently on my Twitter, I put out a small little short story where it goes over this spirit in this well, which is actually basically an angular monster, like an anglerfish, and I based it off of all these typically things that I'm afraid of, because I figured that would be a good base to make a monster from if it's actually something I'm afraid of. So it has all these centipede legs, and it's got all these teeth and general horde nastiness about it. Lots of insects, lots of things. And its angle is actually like a woman that kind of like glows like an angel, giving it the spirit of the well symbology. It would lure people in by granting them wishes. So it would devour them when it comes close.
Sounds kind of like a Kelpie.
Yeah, very much like a Kelpie.
And then the other monster I created is for my D&D games, a constant returning monster, because my players just love fighting these things because it creeps them out. It's a creature I call a puppet spider. And I took the idea that like spiders, some of them make tools. And it's very disturbing to see them do it. It's like they're webbing, and they'll like make boluses that they just swing around to catch insects out of the air. They'll make trapdoors they hide underneath. So I thought, okay, let's take these giant spiders that we have in these fantasy settings, and they capture people and trolls and goblins and all these other things. What if they take their webbing and then they just marionette them about to lure more prey in and to defend their layers? And it's always a puzzle when my players are trying to fight them, because they're trying to find out where the spider exactly is, because it's not always directly above. It may be further down the hall, holding onto the webs and stuff as it controls it with its legs and the hairs and furs, while they're trying to fight essentially a zombie in front of them. And sometimes the puppet spider type they're fighting is just spiders inside the corpse, like a parasite that's taken over the brain.
I see.
Nice. That's very creepy.
Oh, I'm officially creeped out.
Yeah, most of my monsters are human monsters in terms of my bad guys. Examples of this include the Exalted in Tempest of Shadow, where they basically view themselves as gods, and so they can basically treat other humans as lesser than them. And it's kind of it's just because they basically, even like people who have magic like them, so if they aren't like of the Exalted, they view them as lesser, so they can say, okay, so it's okay to basically put you in a breeding pen, put you in a room, and then just turn you into a baby making machine. We don't care, or we basically can do whatever we want. And that's kind of just a horrifying piece of humanity, that like you can kind of like treat somebody else as inferior to you, just by certain aspects. Another, I've used this kind of like the idea of trying to breed more magic users by either using your enemies, or make in Lost Legion, or in Tempest of Shadow, it's actually kind of a job for some people. It's like carefully organized prostitution. It's a really, really creepy thing to kind of like get in the head of people, kind of like treating other people as livestock.
Ugh.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I think in terms of like other monsters, I know I've got a few that I'm writing. Like I have a burrower type creature that's basically like a cobra with 4 legs, kind of like a landworm. There's a bunch of interesting things like that I have, like I wrote back a while back, but I haven't really gotten to write much of it, but it's an interesting kind of thing that I haven't been able to get to in a while. I think I wrote my own version of Dracula, which I'm fairly proud of. I kind of like where he's this almost like a drug addict searching for his drug, and kind of like everything else kind of just feels nasty to him. He feels like I can't really do like much right now. I can only really like eat crap. And he feels disgusted by just like having to eat human food when he's tasted angel blood.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the main thing about Dracula is in my version, because he wants to. It's kind of like taking the idea of Edward and actually doing something with him, because I think the idea of Edward like could work well, except the problem is that Edward sucks as a character.
In more ways than one.
Yeah, it kind of does. But yeah, my thought is just like that is an interesting idea to have a vampire who wants to drink the heroine's blood because she tastes better. That's an interesting idea. I just think that it's done really, really, really bad in Twilight.
Uh-oh, Dun's angry.
Yeah.
Run for cover. Dun's about to dun in somebody.
Yeah, it's really, really bad. It's just really, it's just like, that's it just kind of infuriates me when like, it's an interesting idea. Do something with it, you morons.
Yeah, actually do something with it instead of
making a weird toxic relationship.
Yeah.
Where he's psychologically manipulating her. But yeah. I think most of it just like bestial monsters. Like I use a lot of like foot soldier type monsters in a lot of my books. I think I can't think of any of that many off the top of my head. I know like one of my favorite creations was actually the Tengu in Lost Legion. Spoiler alert for Lost Legion. Basically, I do have dragons, but essentially my idea was basically that dragons actually had an evolutionary process of their own, where originally they were more like a kaiju from Pacific Rim, and they came in all shapes and sizes, and they kind of just homogenized into the dragons we know today in the time of the story.
Oh, nice.
And humans they're now extinct, but humans start developing the ability to turn into them. I won't spoil who and when, but they do develop that ability as a result of magical radiation from living in this extra dimensional prison for decades.
Interesting.
And so it's kind of a combination of bestial and human and intelligent and human monsters, where it's kind of the protagonist gets to turn into a monster, which I think is just really neat, and I've always liked that idea.
Yeah, I've always liked the idea of shape-shifting protagonists.
Yeah. And I think like even like orcs kind of to a certain extent fit into the automaton role, even if they're not robots.
I don't know, depending upon the orc, it may be either automaton or they may be actually kind of their own form of intelligent, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But for example, the Warhammer orcs, they're pretty
smart. I like
really. The Warhammer orcs they're their own brand of smart, which is by all things considered a mass stupidity.
They're cunning.
They're barbarian. They're barbarians.
Yeah.
Essentially.
But it's like their own brand of stupidity technically makes reality their bitch, essentially. They believe something to be true and therefore it must be true. After all, it's like that's how they got the idea of red ones go faster from the Blood Angels, I think it was. Because I think it was the Blood Ravens, which are kleptomaniacs. their vehicles move the fastest. And they looked at that thing, their stuff goes fast. Does that mean AD-painted red goes fast?
Mm-hmm.
And then it worked.
To be fair, I think the orcs had the red things go faster thing before Space Marines were even a thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird thing. But yeah, they always believed certain things to be true. And because of their gestalt psychic field, they make it reality if they believe hard enough.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. It's funny.
It is. It really is. It just really is.
It's the power of belief.
I'm
Mind
not a
over
fan of that
matter. The problem
interpretation.
is the people. It's a mind over matter situation, but the people with the mind controlling over matter are really, really stupid.
It's worth pointing out that the people who came up with that theory think that machines have gods in them.
Yeah. They're like, this cannot possibly be true. There cannot be a god serving it, because if there is one, they serve us. Because it is we serve. They help us. I don't know. It's a very weird thing, but they estimate since they try to disassemble an orc weapon to see how it works. Imagine their shotgun, but sometimes it just turned out to be an empty box with missing everything needed for a gun.
The power of rock.
Wag.
Yep. They don't understand the concept of reloading, so they just fire endlessly. They acknowledge it fires, therefore it must fire. Don't. It can be, you can have a car and it's missing an engine. All an orc has to believe is that it still drives. It don't need an engine. The engine could be dead and it can still drive.
Oh, a strong, independent orc who don't need no engine.
Essentially, even when they try to recreate those weapons, they found it could not work without the necessary components. It even
so they're they're actually, so what you're telling me is orcs are effectual Karens.
They spoke the life's manager. I still don't buy the orc psychic theory because there are so many anti-psychic things in the galaxy that clearly do not work on the orcs. Like if orcs were psychic, the shadow and the warp would screw them up, and it clearly doesn't. The Necrons would screw them up, and they clearly don't.
It's weird because there's no confirmed thing, because understanding the orcs is like trying to understand the difference is, it's like trying to imagine the most complicated thing in the entire galaxy. Like try to find zero. That's how explaining how the orcs make things work goes. You're trying to define zero.
I prefer the Deadpool theory where their weapons all work on metafiction.
That works. I'm glad. I'm glad the Karen comment was enjoyable to find.
Red makes me go faster. If you think it can fly, it flies. Yep.
And if they're feeling blue, that means they're feeling lucky.
Yep. if green's the best color, because it's the color of the orcs.
Blue has a boyfriend, and they don't need to feel blue.
Oh, there are all sorts of different orc color matrices for what.
Unfortunately, we have been cancelled because Dunn has made a very lewd and inappropriate comment.
Yeah. For example, checkered means it makes bigger explosions.
I thought that was just Goths.
Oops, sorry about that.
That does make sense.
Yeah. Then there's also black means you're very tough.
Yeah, that's actually a holdover from fantasy still.
Yeah.
Blue is luck. Purple is I think sneaky.
Yeah, because have you ever seen a purple orc?
Yep, that's the joke.
Yeah, orc logic's very funny. It's because how they didn't know how things work is very funny, because you just don't understand how it still works despite everything. Like, by all logical reasons, if you look at one of their vehicles, they look very ramshackly. They don't look like, if you saw these things in motion, you thought they couldn't even stand straight. But because they have the power to believe, it works regardless.
The orcs believe in the heart of the cards.
Kind of. Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us for our orc stream.
Wolf, did you have any monsters you've ever created?
Yeah,
We'll talk
if you have a
about
problem with it, take it up with HR. It'll get back to you in year 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020.
I guess not.
I guess not.
Yeah. Yep. Fun fact: we don't have an HR department.
We are all the HR departments.
I am all the HR that you've ever heard inside your
I'm all the.
Oh my
It's somebody's gonna say, and I am all the Karens.
I am all the four Karens. I'm so glad I was able to make this one.
Yeah, this is.
I'm so glad I take the day off for my second job.
Yeah, I'm gonna clip that part and put it out there. It's kind of like our the giant alien cow thing that Luke milks is one of my favorite additions to this whole series.
Yeah.
The internet is made for orcs, obviously. After all, we got Chris Orcs and elector those Eldar on Nisans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and like the thing is, like, if you don't like the Luke milking scene, there's only one thing to say to that. Where are you, Mr.
Is it go?
No. It's like, where did I put that? It's somewhere around here.
Did you perchance leave it at the last place you went to?
No, it's somewhere in this mess.
We gotta get you organized, done.
I am organized. I just have a lot.
Clearly.
I have a lot.
Clearly, you haven't been doing a good job.
Clearly, you need more than 6 categories.
Clearly. Maybe I deleted it or something. That's a possibility.
This is the one that you said you're boring and I don't want to be your friend.
Yeah, here's the thing. If you think I'm boring,
I found it. For some reason, it's an entrance.
And if you don't like it, no offense, but you have boring taste, and I don't want to be friends with you.
Yeah, here's the thing. I'd rather life be interesting than boring because I wouldn't want to live a boring life.
Yeah. Same here.
May you live in interesting times.
Chinese curse.
Every day is interesting thanks to COVID.
Yeah.
Or not, as the case may be.
Every day is a simple away from a mental breakdown.
Oh, funny, Crow. You actually think I haven't already broken by now.
Yeah. Thankfully, like, I like being able to just do a lot of my stuff online. That's actually, like, really helpful to me. I am relatively organized. I just can't find things sometimes.
Oh, that's called being disorganized.
So kind of let me see, like sharing my application window. Let me show you guys. This is what my brand stuff looks like.
It looks like oh my god, we got a freaking Dunception. Dun.
The void. Slowly sinking into the void. Forever staring into
like on the side, keep focused on the side. Like, this is all I have. I have a lot of entrance stuff. Sometimes I will just accidentally put stuff in there. This is all like my entrances. I don't know why by accident I put like driver picks of music, copy of special hell, etc. in there. But I have a lot of stuff in reaction, but I did create a reaction too, just so I have stuff.
I'm just looking at the Inception screen. It just looks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a screen. If I want to take a screenshot of that, I want someone that guess what's the original screenshot. You know, it's like taking a picture of a picture of a picture of a picture of a picture.
Oh.
Dun.
Yeah.
Seriously,
are there any questions from the chat? Because I'd love to hear kind of what you guys would like to, anything you guys would like to ask us.
What is the What does a well done steak taste like?
Well done.
It's like a well done steak. It tastes like wood.
I could. I'm not gonna make a. I'm not gonna make a cat eating joke.
Seriously, I just want to know
But
what
they want
happened
the
if
steak
we
well done. Well, then we politely but firmly asked them to leave.
Yes.
I don't know. I want to know what. I don't know. Like a well done.
Oh, like a well cooked steak.
No,
Oh,
well done.
Oh, like
Well done. You see, done.
Like
done did this.
Why do you think I was laughing earlier?
Oh, sorry, I don't have any questions. Just here to troll. So Zofratz is fulfilling her normal role in life. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
always a pleasure.
Yeah, Dunn, I want you to answer this question for me.
What?
How much Dunn could have done done?
How much could a done get done if a done could done get done?
Get her done.
Depends on what you want me to get done.
Johan asked the question.
Dunn did this.
This is an actual thing that happened.
Yeah. If any few ignorant bastards exist, the Emu War, it was a real thing. Australia fought a war against the emus and lost.
Which is kind of pathetic when you think about it.
Emus.
Well, let's also point out the fact that the Australians are also the same group of people who brought rabbits to their country and had no way of getting rid of them. They thought they wouldn't repopulate that fast.
Yeah. There's a reason why we say they breed like rabbits.
There's a whole section of Australia that's just walled off, and on the other side is just billions of rabbits.
It got to the point where they built a fence and failed.
Yes. They had to wall it off like it was a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, because rabbits screw like nobody's business.
Yeah, and they produce
like
several litters a year, I think.
I think it's about 6 a year.
And they're also polyamorous.
And each litter can have up to 12, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So you clearly did Australia's. Well, all the Aussies clearly never saw anything through. They don't know.
The same country that has spiders that can kill you within minutes, dingoes to steal your babies, birds that will attack you for no good reason, sharks.
Spiders the spiders are like a foot long.
No, they're as big as a dinner plate.
Oh my god!
But then there's also there's also shells that can kill you if you step on if you pick them up.
They got snails. Everything in there is like venomous and toxic and wants to kill you.
Australia clearly is trying to send a message to the world. Stop coming here.
They have the most terrifying literal creatures that we could ever think of, yet they get beaten by emus and rabbits.
And we keep going back for bile fascination, basically.
Yep.
It's like Australia, it's a tough. Loses a war against emus. Yeah, I'm pressing X here. It's like if you couldn't win a war against birds.
So essentially, technically,
the Australians are the English. They were at least at one point.
Well, the Australians were
their country.
Australia was actually a penal colony once upon a time. So not only are we British, but we are British felons.
What are we, 12?
They got a caterpillar that can kill you.
Yep.
Oh, that's in Brazil.
I think we got way off topic, and this stream should be over.
What was the topic?
Yeah, let's
But
well, since there are
a monster, because technically all of Australia. Wait, is it Australia technically a monster?
Maybe.
I don't care about Australia. It can do whatever it wants. I feel bad that it has fires, and it's got two of my favorite YouTubers, Anomaly Inc. and Shadiversity.
Shadiversity is the best.
Yeah,
Shadiversity is Australian.
Listen,
Yes.
I don't hate Australians, but I'm just saying, if an RE wars to break out, I'm rooting for emus.
Anyway, I made a meme to leave on.
Yeah, I noticed.
That played the new revolutionary FES game. Done!
Let's see.
For some reason, it's bugging out. I don't know why.
Done.
Mick Gordon music.
Yep.
Obligatory Mick Gordon reference. Metal.
Like I could make a pretty good sound with my throat, but holy crap, that hurts.
What?
What? Oh.
Crow? Listen,
No, Bratz, nobody's going to understand that here.
Crow, is there something you need to tell me?
Is it? What is it? What is that? Is that like a got you by the balls reference or what?
No,
is it?
Phalanx is a friend of me and Zelfratz.
I
Okay.
think you should probably get together and probably move to Australia, far away from death.
Mm-hmm.
He already lives far away from me, but so do you.
I'm saying farther away.
Oh,
And Drake Ashinda.
Alrighty.
Good.
Oh, hi, I am Zelfratz. I am the bestest ever, and the Danish are okay. We like to eat all the sweets and potatoes.
All right.
Just
Hang on.
Yeah, so I am the bestest ever. You all should bow and worship me.
Also, that's an old.
The old avatar is the better one.
Alrighty. Well, we will. Alrighty. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Since we have no further questions,
Oh, hey,
if you have,
Boomer Crow. Oh, I can't believe you couldn't even get the current profile picture.
for considering that now we've kind of like reached the end of the line. Now we are going to have to say one last thing.
Go!
If you have any questions, put them in the Discord. If you have, or if you want to, please put them in the stream for tomorrow. Alrighty. We will see you later.
Holy shit. Okay, we're going.